Hey guys, Jonathan Soda here, back again doing another movie review, and today we'll be reviewing The Invisible Man. Now, The Invisible Man is directed by Lee Winnell and features Elizabeth Moss, Oliver Jackson Cohen, Aldous Hodge, Harriet Dyer, Michael Dorman, Storm Reid, and Anthony Brandon Wong. So the plot of Invisible Man is that we follow this girl named Cecilia, and she always gets abused by her husband Adrian Griffin. So one night she tries to run away from him, or like I think she either tries to run away from him or tries to pull a trick on him. I think she tries to run away from him, so she does that. But then Adrian Griffin wakes up, and then he like sees that she's leaving her, and so he's trying to break through the car door that she's in, leaving, and so once she does that, Adrian Griffin ends up fake. Wait, before I say that, I'll just say what happens to Cecilia. So Cecilia like stays at her friend's house named, I think his name's James. His name's James, yeah. So, uh, so yeah, she stays at her friend James' house with James' daughter too, and so she stays there. And while she's there, she ends up finding out that Adrian ended up faking suicide. And so, yeah. And so once that happens, you learn that like Adrian Griffin did not die. That he faked his death to pull a trick on Cecilia. And during Cecilia and Adrian's relationship, he would always love pulling tricks on her, and so he decides to pull like the biggest trick on her to show her that he's invisible, that like he's stalking her while he's invisible, and like yeah, and like little by little she starts noticing, not little by little, but like she really starts noticing that Adrian is stalking her while he's invisible. So yeah, and like once that happens, she tries to tell like the police and like Adrian's brother, but no one believes her. So like she's trying to fight back on her own. So like yeah, so like she's trying to like see like how Adrian's invisible and how she can fight him back. So that's basically the plot of Invisible Man. Now, do I like Invisible Man? Yes, I really love Invisible Man. And now the only reason I wanted to review Invisible Man was because like this year there have not been much of good movies lately. Well, there have been good movies, but they've all been like pretty mediocre, and like they've all not been like amazingly good. Like they've not none of them like blew me away or anything like that. But this one didn't blow me away either, but it sort of did. Like, out of all the movies that came out in 2020, this is definitely the peak. This is like the only like legit good movie that I really like. All the other movies in theaters are pretty mediocre, and like when I would sit through them in theaters, at times I would get bored and I wouldn't really get invested that much. Like Birds of Prey, Sonic the Hedgehog, all those other movies that came out earlier in 2020. But this movie was actually the last movie I saw in theaters, and it was one that I really, really enjoyed. Like this one, I was really invested in it, and I was not bored in it, and I was actually really enjoying it, and like I really liked all the characters in it, and this movie was actually really suspenseful and really scary too. And this is the only reason why I'm reviewing it, because it's like the only like legit good movie of this year. And yeah, so I just felt the need to review this movie, and I bought this movie I think 2 weeks ago when it came out. I pre-ordered it online on my birthday, and then it came in like pretty early, like 2 days later. So yeah, and what else was I gonna say? The Invisible Man. Yeah, and I watched it like 2 days ago on Sunday. I hadn't watched it on my DVD player since I bought it because I was on vacay with my dad, and also I wanted to watch some other movies too. And then I got around to watching this one, and it is still pretty good watching it a second time. So yeah. I didn't want to review it yesterday because yesterday I had a lot of plans, and Sunday too. Sunday I just stayed at my grandma's house the entire day, and her house is always so noisy. So yeah, and today I have an opportunity to review it. So yeah, let's get right into it. So the characters in this movie are really good. Like Elizabeth Moss as Cecilia is really good. Cecilia is a really good character, and you really buy that she's a character. She's actually a girl that really didn't like her husband. She really didn't like being with him, and you can tell like she ends up finding out really early on that it's Adrian stalking her, And yeah, and you can really tell that she doesn't like Adrian at all, and you can really tell that she wants to prove everyone that Adrian's alive and he's invisible, and you can really tell she wants to fight off Adrian. So yeah, I really love Cecilia in this movie. I think she was probably my favorite character, and yeah, Elizabeth Moss's performance is phenomenal. Actually, like her performance is really good. Yeah. So what else was I gonna say? I haven't seen the original Invisible Man movies, like the ones from the 1930s. I do plan on watching those, but like I haven't seen those yet, so like I can't like tell you if this movie like brings justice to those old movies. And it's been like 80 years since we've got Invisible Man movies. So yeah. What else was I thinking? Let me think. Oh, I really liked Adrian as the villain. Like he was really scary. Like this movie is really scary. Like there's a lot of jump scares in this movie. I remember when I saw this movie in theaters, it was like the perfect like I think the most perfect moment, like the most perfect time to watch Invisible Man is if you're in a quiet room. Like you're like either in your bedroom and it's quiet. That's the perfect time to watch it. Or like when you're in the living room and no one's home, that's the perfect time to watch it. So yeah, do not watch it in like a party or like in like a very or like when like your family's having an argument because like the movie is really weird when you watch it like that. So yeah, this movie's really silent. Like I said, like there's a lot of silent like this movie's made to feel silent. And yeah, and that's the perfect setting for this movie, like to feel silent, because like an Invisible Man is really silent. Like the idea of having an Invisible Man that is really silent, and like you in a silent room like gives you like stalking vibes. So yeah, like the whole silent setting is amazing, and the scenery too is amazing too. Yeah, and like this movie is very beautifully shot too, like with like being very silent, and like the color outage, not the color outage, but like the color coding to this movie is amazing too. Like yeah, I love it a lot. So what else was I gonna say? So yeah, like I said about Adrian, he's a really compelling villain, and like when he's around, you're just really scared. Like when you can tell he's around anytime, and even when he's invisible, and that's what makes it really scary. And like when he picks up stuff or like like is holding something, and that's really scary. And yeah, and like all the scenes with like Cecilia in like her in like James' house are pretty scary. Like Adrian's right there, he's like overheating the food, or he's like walking around the house like grabbing the knife, and like he's like in her bedroom like taking pictures of her and like stepping on her blanket and all that. And yeah, all those are really good. And I love how at times Cecilia can sense he's here, and she can still see he's here even when he's not there, even when he's invisible. So yeah, I love how she knows her husband really well. So yeah, what else was I gonna say? And yeah, you can really tell that Adrian is crazy just by not looking at him. So yeah, and yeah, Adrian is really rich, and uh, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but like his richness is really explains on how he's invisible, and it's amazing how he's invisible. And yeah, and like it really develops for now at times in 2020 in the future. So yeah, I really like how Adrian's rich. Like even a crazy man in this movie is rich, and yeah, that's really cool. So let me think. Yeah, and like Adrian, I love the scene in the end where like Adrian's like shooting the security guards and beating the shit out of them. I won't give it away like where it happens and all of that, but that scene is really cool. Let me think. What else about Adrian? Yeah, Adrian's like the main title of this movie, and he's the main point of the movie. So let me think. What else do I really love the scene where like Cecilia's in the attic, and like she can feel that Adrian is here, and then she throws like a bucket of paint in the air, and like you literally see like an invisible man covered in paint with like dots around him, and it's just really scary. And that part like gave me a jump scare. Like when I saw that scene in theaters, me and my uncle like screamed our asses off. So yeah, So yeah, that scene was pretty scary. And yeah, let me think. Oh yeah, and during that part, like Adrian is also like beating her up while he's invisible, and that scene is really fucking scary too. Like he's like pulling her hair and like grabbing her by the neck and like punching her and all of that, and just like strangling her and like keeping her on the ground and like she Cecilia gets a plate and like just knocks him out like twice, and like she even gets like the pan I think and like knocks him out, and then she runs away. Yeah, so that scene is really scary. So what else is there? And like I really love the scene in the end where like Adrian's talking with Cecilia in the rain. Like when like Adrian's in the rain and you can like see him, like you can see like all the dotted stuff on him. So yeah, and I really love when he's chokes her and he's like talking to her, and yeah, and he's saying like, "Oh, if you continue to hurt me, I don't worry, I won't hurt you, but I will hurt the ones you love." So, and yeah, that whole scene is really creepy. So what else is there? This movie is not that bloody, but it is pretty really bloody at times. But like as a whole, it's not that bloody, but it's still really scary. So yeah, and like Lee Winnell directed this really amazing, and I think Lee Winnell directed the first Saw, and the first Saw wasn't that bloody, and I think he might have put a lot of stuff from the first Saw into this movie, and I think he might have produced Insidious, so I think he put a little bit of stuff from Insidious to this movie, and he was also played a character in Insidious too, so yeah, and I really know Lee Winnell as a director and writer, so yeah. And I'm pretty sure a lot of horror fans do as well. So let me think. Anything else? I really like James Lanier, the guy that Cecilia stays with. Yeah, he's really cool, and like I love the scene where like he's fighting Adrian in the end. I won't give away what happens, but like they're fighting, and like a lot of blood is in that scene. So yeah, I love that scene, and like I like his daughter too, Sydney. I love the whole thing how like Cecilia still has a bit of money, and like every month she's gonna give Sydney like $10,000 for her college. And yeah, I love those whole scenes. And yeah, what else was I gonna say? Uh, Let me think. Oh yeah, and this was a pretty funny moment in the movie too, where like Cecilia and Sydney are talking, and then like Sydney ends up getting slapped by Adrian, but like Sydney thinks it's her, and like that seems kind of funny. Yeah. So let me think. I really like Tom Griffin, Adrian's brother, who's like he's not crazy at all. He's like he is no, I don't want to give it away, but like yeah, I really like him too. Like all the scenes, I think he's kind of Cecilia's lawyer. So yeah, I really like all the scenes with them, like when they're talking in the building and like all the stuff that happens with them in the end. I won't tell you because it's kind of a spoiler, but yeah, and I like how like he's always like supporting Cecilia. So yeah, so what else was I gonna say? And I love how like Tom reveals that he actually hated Adrian as much as Cecilia did too. So yeah. So and I really like Cecilia's sister too, Emily. She's a really good character, but like she's a bit of a dick too. Like she's really bitchy. Like there's this scene where like her and Cecilia are talking in this like dinner, like in this restaurant, like she's like talking to the waiter like all bitchy, like which one's free, or like get the fuck out, we need lots more time to decide what we want to drink. So yeah, and yeah, that whole scene, yeah, that scene's pretty funny. So yeah, and I love how bitchy she gets when like Adrian sends Emily an email about like Cecilia like threatening her, like I wish you died instead of Adrian and all of that, but Adrian actually wrote that. So yeah, yeah, so like I love how like she's still being bitchy with Cecilia even in the restaurant thing about the email. So yeah. So yeah, what else is there to talk about? So I think that's all the characters. Yeah, all the characters are really good. Yeah, all the actors do an amazing job for what they're given. Uh, what's his name? Oliver Jackson Conch, I think that's his name. He does amazing as Adrian. Like he is so amazing as Adrian, and like yeah, just his voice and like the whole thing in the beginning and later on is really good too. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, Aldous Hodge acts really good as James. Harriet Dyer as the sister. She's really good too, and she's really good for all the bitchy scenes she's in. and I think Michael Dorman plays Tom. He's very excellent as Tom, and Storm Reid is very excellent as Sydney. As a child actress, she's really good. So let me think. The soundtrack to this movie is amazing too. Like the soundtrack is really scary, and like it really fits into this movie. Like the soundtrack is very beautiful at times too, and like it's really cool, and like it's just like slow music, and it's just really cool. It very much fits in with this movie. So, and also this soundtrack was composed by Benjamin Wallfish, who did the soundtrack for It. And yeah, and this very much sounds like the soundtrack from It. Like he very much put the same instrumental tone from It into this movie. So yeah, and you can even tell like at times this sounds like the music from It. So yeah, and he did beautiful music in that movie too. Just want to let you know. So let me think. The way this movie ends is pretty satisfying. It sets up a sequel that I really want to see. That was a sequel to the original, like the Invisible Man movies in the 1930s were like their own series, and like the ending kind of teases like its own series. So yeah, and I can't wait to see that. But that's if the world lives and Hollywood starts opening again after all this shit that's been happening. So yeah, let me think. The pacing to this movie is really good too. Like this movie's 2 hours and it doesn't even feel that long. Like it feels really short. Like this movie feels like an hour to be honest. And yeah, and it goes by really fast too. Like for 2 hours, it goes by so fast. So let me think. Yeah, and let me think. Anything else? And yeah, like I said, Lee Now had a lot of heart making this movie. So let me think. Uh, Let me think. All the special effects in this movie are really good too. Like all the special effects are done really well. Like when Adrian's like in the rain, or like when you can like see the Invisible Man. All those shots are done really well. So let me think. Anything else? I don't think I have any flaws with it, to be honest. Let me try to think of a flaw I have with this movie. The only flaw I have with this movie is maybe we should have had just a smidge more of scenes between Cecilia and Adrian. Just a little bit more scenes of that. Other than that, this movie's phenomenal. I think I'll give this movie an A+. Yeah, yeah, this is a really good movie. I highly recommend you all check it out. So, before I end this review, I'll ask you guys two questions. Question number one is about what's happening nowadays. I noticed that nowadays, all over like the world, like all over like all the stores, like when I go to the mall I go to, it's like an outdoor mall. Like all the colors are cut out for some reason. Like at Target, it's not red anymore. Like it's all white now. Like why the fuck is it like that? And like there was this like place outside my like near my house like that says signs on it. It used to be orange, but now it's painted black. And like Harkins is not even purple anymore. It's all gray. And like Barnes and Noble, the Barnes and Noble that I always go to is all gray now. Like why the fuck are our colors taken out? Like why the fuck are the colors everywhere taken out? I get it, coronavirus and protests, but you don't need to take out your colors. And then yeah, please answer that comment. Please answer that question in the comments, or maybe text me on Instagram. Maybe I'll put a link down below to my Instagram. So, but I highly recommend. I highly suggest you guys leave your comments on that. And another question is, what movie series should I review next? I already reviewed the Quentin Tarantino movies. Which movie series should I review next? Cause like I get really bored. At home. So yeah, what movie series should I review next? I'll answer your guys' comments. So comment down below. I'll do any movie series you guys want me to do next, or just any plain movie in general, like one movie or something. So yeah, I'll do any of your requests in the comments. So please comment down below what you guys want me to review next. So yeah, I think that'll be the end of my review. So bye, and see you all in the next review.